Welcome to the Connector Life with Kimber Booth, a blog of insights for connectors who are experts at connecting and uniting people, knowledge, and resources. And their success stems from bringing a level of energy and clarity for themselves and others. Hello, welcome to the Connector Life. I am your host and career coach, Kimber Booth. In today's episode, we will cover do more with more, not do more with less. Doing more with less is not always the answer, and sometimes it is necessary to justify resources. We'll help you find out when and how to do more with less, do more with more, or even just do less. Now, have you or your department been asked to do more with less? Maybe you weren't actually asked, it was just assumed. Now, I know this can lead to a feeling of overwhelm. I know that this has impacted me. And last week, I gave a presentation at a national healthcare conference that I entitled, Doing More with Less is Not Always the Answer. Justify Needed Resources. Now, I have heard from many of my clients that this term makes employees feel uncomfortable and even upset. It can send the message that management is not planning or providing necessary resources. And you don't want to be that employee in that situation, and you certainly don't want to be the manager causing that situation of overwhelm. Now, before we get too far down the doing more with more, I do think there are times when doing more with less is the answer. And when is that? It is for short bursts of time where it's an all hands on deck situation. That is okay for short periods of time. Now, the other key time is when you can enhance efficiency and productivity by doing more with less. You want to prioritize your initiatives. You want to remove barriers. You want to hold effective meetings and have effective projects. Reducing complexity and standardizing with tools such as Lean Six Sigma 5S principles, or eliminating waste. And one of my favorites is making sure you're optimizing your use of tools and technology. Now, because I do care about you having excellence in all areas of your life, many of the topics that I cover can be applied to your career and personal life. And this topic is no different. So keep that in mind as we go through, and I'll give you some more personal examples later on. So while doing more with less can be beneficial, there is a downside many times. And the ultimate outcome is that doing more with less leads to less. What happens is it leads to overwork, damage morale, reduce engagement and productivity, reduce retention, reduce quality, and ultimately less. Now, I remember when I was interviewing for a position one time, and the HR manager told me that typically people worked 11 or plus hours a day, and it was expected. And this company had a reputation for burning employees out and having a high turnover rate. So I, though, had to ask, why, if there was that much work to do, did they not just justify more resources? And I did not get a good answer, but needless to say, I did not want to work there. So now, after you have optimized the doing more with less with your existing resources, then you have two decisions. You can either do less or do more with more. So when it comes to doing less, this does require you to limit the number of projects or initiatives to the top priorities and needle movers. One of my favorite role models, Marie Forleo, calls this pruning. You have to cut back on initiatives to focus your resources so that your other work can flourish. So consider that when you have to decide to do less. Now, doing more with more. Sometimes it is definitely worthwhile to justify resources. And this is not just for the sake of adding resources, but you really have to take that step back, analyze what and how you can accomplish things with more resources. It tends to be a trade-off between money and that time, but make sure your planning is not short-sighted. Think about the long term of investing in a resource today could lead to a bountiful future. Now, I mentioned I gave a presentation last week, and I wanted to share the case example where we made a bold justification of resources to do more with more. In my health system where I work as a director of clinical pharmacy services, we were historically doing more with less. And I led an initiative to justify resources, both with people and technology. And we did this through a compilation of business plans and internal FTE analysis, or full-time equivalent analysis. Now, before adding any of these new initiatives or committing to doing more, I wanted to ensure that we had the right baseline number of people to avoid the situation of doing more with less and people having to work overtime. Now, through the business plans, I knew that we could add resources in the form of our pharmacists, technicians, and residents that would enhance patient safety, patient outcomes, and improve their overall patient experience. The benefit in the long run is that these positive impacts would ultimately reduce healthcare costs for the hospital, health system, and patients. Now, I know many of you may not work in healthcare, and I'll just share with you that these resources made pharmacists and technicians more available on the patient care units to collaborate with the doctors and nurses to focus on the medication needs for the patients in the hospitals as they transitioned home. The final package added 50 more physicians to our department, and that while the full implementation is ongoing, the initial results are positive for the department, the hospital, and most importantly, the patients that we serve. So thank you for letting me share that example with you. Now let's turn it over to you. Where in your work or home life can you do more with more, and how can you go about doing it? So in your work life, think about assessing your current and future workload and then consider your options. So I think about 3 options here about doing more with more. That is, you can hire and justify additional FTEs through an analysis and business plans like I just shared. You can contract with experts or outsource work. Do you have people spinning their wheels, running around trying to figure out technology or new tools when it might be better to just outsource and get an expert? And the third option is to obtain resources and tools. A common question on employee engagement surveys is, do you have the resources and tools to do what you need for your job? If you can obtain the tools and technology for you or your employees to be effective, they will be able to do more. Now, your home life, let's think about that. When can you hire or outsource and justify that work so that you can do more? Do you need more support with childcare or cleaning or yard work? Now, sometimes this investment in hiring someone can be worth it when it frees you up to do more productive and meaningful activities for your balanced life. Now, I know it's not for everybody and not every aspect, but you can consider this and think about the pros and cons and return on that investment. Now, when it comes to resources and tools, I think this is just as applicable in your home life. Think about where you can make your life easier. Investing in a good computer that allows you to be more efficient, getting automated lights or even automated blinds, making your home smarter. Again, not for everybody, but I think these are options that can help you think about where and how you can invest to make your life easier in the long run. Now, finally, I want to say an important aspect is to give yourself permission to do less. A big mistake I see most people make, and especially women. You are seeking perfection. And I have to admit that I've gotten away without having cleaning support because I give myself permission to do less, and then I don't dust my dining room every week or the molding. So please give yourself permission to do less at home. So thank you for joining me. I want to ask you to join the ongoing conversation at kimberbooth.com and subscribe to my email list so we can connect regularly, and you will receive content that I don't share anywhere else. Now it's your turn. Identify an area at home or work where you can do more with more. Share the action that you will take to get more in the comments section at kimberbooth.com/blog/006. Now, in this week's blog post, you will also be able to access the bonus blog download, When to Do More with Less or More. This is a tool to help you identify where to make improvements and possibly justify resources. I also wanted to share that the Connector Life is now on iTunes, and I will have the link to subscribe in the blog post. So do more with more. Go out, be bold, be a connector, and excel in all areas of your life. Thank you, and have a wonderful week.